Howdy guys, Radio Magic here. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, morning or evening, whatever you're up to, wherever you are on the planet right now. Today we are giving some Jeskai Control a go in Historic. We're going to be running it through best of 3 because we all know Control in best of 1 is not going to hold up too well. So I'll lay out my initial concern and then we'll go through the list a little bit. I'm going to leave timestamps down below in the comments, so if you want to skip ahead now past the deck tech and want to just look straight at the games, they will be down in the comments down below, so go check that out. But my initial problem with Control is I have not been able to play this archetype for a while because Control just does not feel viable to me. It feels like there's far too many powerful things happening in the format and there is a lot going on, and it's very difficult to handle because Control needs to handle each individual archetype and combo list that's going on. So when the format is all over the place and there's loads of different things happening, Control can feel very difficult to essentially take control of the game. But I thought what I'd do is with the new set, with the Kaladesh Remastered, we'd give it another shot. And essentially it's because of 2 cards that I want to really give this a go. Chandra, Torrential Defiance and Torrential Gearhulk. So for those of you who have been living in the future and not the past, Chandra Torrential Defiance is a 4-mana planeswalker that was around in Kaladesh. Excellent. Sees play all the way back to modern. 4 mana, she can +1. She starts on 4 loyalty, and planeswalkers back then didn't have static text for people who have joined relatively recently. But don't worry, what they don't have in static text, they make up for in raw power. So Chandra can +1 to exile the top card of your library, and then you can cast that card. Remember, it says not till end of turn, so you have to cast it when you activate the ability. And if you choose not to, or cannot, because it is a land, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. She can also ramp you in the form of 2 red mana in your mana pool. She can kill a creature by dealing 4 damage to it, or she can win the game with an emblem that whenever you cast a spell, the emblem deals 5 damage to any target. So Chandra is card advantage, she is ramp, she is removal, and she is a win con in a single planeswalker. Why I'm not running 4 of these is beyond me. We'll get into it a little bit. Essentially, like legendary still, you can't play that many of them, and you need to run so many different answers in the list that you can't really make room for that. And the other main reason that I wanted to run Control again was Torrential Gearhulk. When Torrential Gearhulk was in standard, it was an all-star finisher for these control lists. Flashing this in and countering something or using your removal spell again was just outstanding. It was so much value, and then you ambush a creature in combat. So I thought we would put together a list and try and put Torrential Gearhulk and Chandra Torrential Defiance into play. I decided I was bouncing between Grixis and Jeskai, and I landed on Jeskai in the end because of Teferi and ECD Settle the Wreckage and Justice Strike as well. So I know the Grixis is going to have Fatal Push and Four.Vs, but it was a balance between the 2, and we will give the other a go. But essentially, ECD and Settle the Wreckage and Teferi was the reasons that I chose to play Jeskai instead. So this is the list. I'll go over it real quick, but that's the reasons. That's my rationale for taking a bit of time out of Control and why we are playing it now of all times. So I'll go through the list real quickly and then we'll jump into a few games. On the 2-drop slot, we have 2 Essence Scatters. This essentially is going to stop maybe Ulamogs all the way up there, and some lower mana creatures as well. There's a lot of good value creatures in the format that have enter the battlefield triggers, so we need to make sure we can stop them wherever possible. So Essence Scatter really does come in helpful there. Justice Strike as well is really efficient. This is fighting at the moment for multiple different removal spells. The main contestant in my opinion is a Braid, so it's either Justice Strike or a Braid in these lists. I thought Justice Strike would be better just because it can reach much higher up the curve than a Braid can, but a Braid has the flexibility to destroy artifacts, which could free up sideboard slots at the same time, and Aetherworks Marvel is running around quite a bit at the moment, so maybe it's a meta call and a Braid is correct, so that's something you sort of have to chop and change between. We then have 2 Bone Crush Giants. In my original list this had 4 of, but I ended up dropping just because we need so many different diverse things. But essentially a removal spell on 2 and then a 3 mana 4/3 on 3, so it can really help fill out the curve. It can be 2 and 3 drop. It can answer planeswalkers, it can answer creatures, and it can be a threat in its own right, which is really powerful. We also have 2 Narset Parter Veils. Everyone knows what Narset does by now. Opponents can't draw more than 1 card a turn. Very, very oppressive. And then she gets to essentially Azcanta the Sunken Ruin twice before she goes down. We have free Absorb. So this is fighting with the contestant of Sinister Sabotage, the Cycling Counterspell, and the, what's the new one that's just come out? The one that's in Amonkhet, Disallow. Yes, Disallow can counter a target triggered ability or activated ability as well, which is really relevant actually, because there's a lot of stuff going around like Planeswalker Ultimates and Aetherworks Marvel activations. You'll hear me moan about that quite a bit because I am rapidly growing sick of that list already, but do you know what? I'd rather have a diverse meta, so it's fine, as long as it doesn't completely oppress the format. But anyway, we are playing Absorb instead of any of the other counterspells because you'll notice the list is overall tailored towards a creature matchup, and I think the life gain of this is more relevant than the being able to either cycle or counter a triggered or activated ability. You could also play Ionize in this space, but we're not going for a burn, so the life gain is far more relevant than the life loss. We then have 3 Deafening Clarions. It's, in my opinion, essential to have board wipes early on in a control list. The last thing a control list wants to do is trade 1 for 1. They really want to trade 2 for 1 wherever possible, and Deafening Clarion really helps that. Makes that possible. It's also, it kind of lines up quite well with a lot of stuff that's going on at the moment, like Rogue Refiners are a really big thing that Deafening Clarion can sort of catch up. You get 2 or 3 of them and maybe another creature. Mono Red is really good. It also has the ability to give your creatures lifelink, so we could, while it's a little bit of a nombo with the Bone Crusher Giant, because if we want to activate both modes, it will kill the Bone Crusher Giant, it does work exceptionally well with Torrential Gearhulk, Shark Typhoon, and Emery's Call. So yeah, that's a really good reason for Deafening Clarion. Cast Out, this feels like it should be a 4 of because it can cycle early. Any ones you don't want, you can change that into a random card, but later on it's just an exceptional removal spell. Flash, answer anything essentially until Cast Out leaves. Again, I'm running less of these because we need more diverse answers, if that makes sense. Like, you need to have tons of different types of answers because there's so many different things happening in the format that you can't afford to run 4 cast outs, 4 justice strikes, 4 absorbs, 4 narsets. It doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't really work out that well. We have 2 Settle the Wreckages. This is something to sort of diversify our board wipes because there's a lot of indestructible creatures. There's also Graveyard Recursion going around quite a lot. The Rakdos Pyromancer list, Uros, Ulamogs, the lot. So Settle the Wreckage, really good to catch all answer to them things you can't answer with the Wrath of God or Deafening Clarion. And speaking of the devil, Wrath of God, the premier board wipe that will probably stay for all of time. Destroy all creatures, they can't be regenerated. Real simple, but such an effective board wipe. I've chose to drop 1 of these instead of the playset because we're running 2 Settle the Wreckages, and I think that 8 board wipes in the main should be sufficient, along with 2 Justice Strikes, but you'll see in the games coming up whether that is the case. We then have 2 ECDs, and the reason I'm not playing 3 of these, which is what I'm playing the 3rd one in the board, but the reason I'm not playing 3 or 4 of these in the main is essentially the format's quite fast at the moment, has been my experience, and you just need to be more impactful before this. We can't afford to have 2 or 3 ECDs sit in our hand at the beginning of the game. We want to be top decking these later on in the game and making an impact then. So I'm running a lower number of these just for that reason. But ECD exceptional, always has been. Exiles the target permanent when it enters with CMC 3 or greater, and then it's going to get back our Narset, our Bone Crusher Giant, our Chandra, Teferi, Torrential Gearhulk, you name it. It's coming back with ECD with either a loyalty counter or an additional +1/+1 counter. I've decided to drop the number of Teferis as well from 3 to 2 just because while he does provide card advantages, is removal and a win con. Again, we need to make sure we have tons of answers in the list, and we only really need to stick 1 Teferi. We just need 1 Teferi to tick up a few times, provide some card advantage, and try and lock the game away. Just trying to stall out. We don't want to have 4 Teferis or 3 Teferis sitting in our opening hand, which has definitely been my experience when you run a playset of these. I'm also trying something a little bit spicy. I'm trying a 1 of Warrant Warden, and the reason for this is because of Torrential Gearhulk. So Torrential Gearhulk when it ETBs, it has flash, you can cast a target instant card from your graveyard without paying its mana cost, and then if you cast that, you exile it. There was a really good combo with that with Commit to Memory, where you could cast this from your graveyard, the memory half. So each player shuffles their hand and graveyard, but although it's a sorcery, because Commit is an instant, Torrential Gearhulk can cast the memory side, so you could do that instant speed in your opponent's end step. Just a side note as well, when you have Narset out, that's going to stop your opponent from drawing any cards. If you do that in your opponent's end step, they will have no cards in their hand, so important to remember that. But yeah, Warrant Warden. So the first side is gonna put a token, get rid of a token permanently, or delay something a bit by putting a target attacking or blocking creature back on top of its owner's library. So sometimes Teferi can come down, tick up, we got our 2 mana, and then we can put something back on the top to defend him. Or you can cast the 5 mana side, which we're essentially never doing unless we have absolutely nothing else to do. This Warden side is never being cast, but it creates a 4/4 blue Sphinx creature token with flying and vigilance. But essentially the reason is Torrential Gearhulk can come in and cast the Warden side for free. So for 6 mana we get a flash 5/6 and a 4/4 flying vigilance Sphinx, which can be, that's 9 power you're adding to the board at instant speed in your opponent's end step. So I thought a one-of to just give it a try and see how that works, and yeah, it's actually pretty good. Like you'll see from the games coming up. Commit to Memory, like I said, essentially a counter spell, but it can get around the clause of this spell cannot be countered because it's not countering it, it's putting it on top of your opponent's library and essentially delaying the inevitable. But Commit to Memory as a one-of, so we've got that flexibility of commit, but memory can refill, and we have the combo with Narset. We don't really want to cast Memory unless Narset's out, but we'll do what we have to. Shark Typhoon up next with our 6-drop. You can either cycle it to make an XX Shark, so you get to basically a free Shark, and you basically take a turn, or 6 mana enchantment that whenever you cast non-creature spells, you get XX Sharks equal to their converted mana cost. We want to be cycling this more so than not. Like I said earlier with the Deafening Clarion and the Wrath of Gods, we really want to be 2-for-1ing our opponent and getting as much value as possible. That being said, this is an excellent win condition. Slamming this on turn 6 or turn 9 when we can hold up and absorb, really quite effective and can close the game really quickly. 2 Torrential Gearhulks, like we said, and then we're playing as part of our mana basis Emery's Call as well, a sorcery that's also a bolt land. I'm sure you guys know what this card does already. Creates 4/4 angels, and then your other creatures get indestructible to end of turn. As for the mana basis, we're running, you can see it from here, some Triomes, Shocks, and Checks. These are sort of interchangeable. We are running 27 lands overall, but that doesn't matter. You'll see from the games that mana screw happens regardless. I sound really bitter, but I'm not. Like the list is fun to play. Just mana, when you get mana screwed on 27 lands, it's just it does feel a little bit painful. So sideboard time, because we are going for a best of 3. We have 2 Authority of the Consuls. These could be debatably in the main. It depends how much aggro is in the meta, but excellent card that's come out with Kaladesh. I keep going to say Amonkhet, because when I started Standard, they were in at the same time. But Authority of the Consuls, creatures enter tapped that your opponents control, and you gain a life. Really good against Hasters, really good against aggro, really good against Muxus, because it stalls them for a turn, and then they have to swing, and then they put you back to your original life total. So it sort of like buys you 2 turns in a way. Authority is just all-round good card. We have 3 Grafdigger's Cage as well. This is going to stop Muxus, this is going to stop Aetherworks Marvel, this is going to stop Graveyard Hate, not Graveyard Hate, Graveyard Decks. All-round good card. I'm deciding to run this instead of Rest in Peace, because I think Grafdigger's Cage does more for the meta, personally. It's worth noting that Grafdigger's Cage does shut down Torrential Gearhulk's ETB, so important to notice that if you're going to try this list out. We also have 2 Sealaways. So the Sealaways are in there to sort of change out for the Justice Strike a lot of the time when we're against the core Celebrant matchup. So their Madonto's Vanguards are pesky, and there is not many ways in the list to answer them outside Cast Out and Settle the Wreckage. If you're not running into many Adonto's Vanguards, then these could always be changed for something else. Maybe you can go up on Gideon's Intervention, and I'll talk about why that's an essential card in a minute. We have 3 Dovin's Vetoes as well. This is to make sure in our control matchups we have something to board in. Because the main deck is slanted so much towards creature matchups, Dovin's Veto is really good at, for example, we can take out our 2 Justice Strikes, 2 Essence Scatters, and, well, we'll keep in 1 Essence Scatter maybe, and bring in 3 Dovin's Vetoes. I found before when I was testing the list that when we play against... Control is rare to come across, but when we play against Control, it's pretty hopeless because we have so many cards that are just dead in that matchup. And we do not want that. So Dovin's Veto is essentially just there to assure that. Really good against some combo lists as well when they have loads of non-creature spells. Gideon of the Trials is here as a just sort of an all-round catch. So he can be an extra threat in them control matchups where you need him. He can prevent you from being infinite comboed or something because your opponent can't win the game. It's good against aggro or single threat targets like a Dream Trawler, for example, because he can prevent all damage from that. Just sort of utility card. He's going to come up from time to time. Timely Reinforcements, something that I was really high on. I was started on 3, I've dropped to 2, and now I'm on 1. Essentially, it does what it says in the tin. Gain a bit of life, make a few creatures, stall the game, good against aggro. I'm now convinced after playing the games that we played that Timely Reinforcements could come out because the main deck is so slanted towards aggro. You probably just want more in the board for them combo matchups and control. Gideon's Intervention, I reckon you probably want 2 of these, maybe 3. When it ETBs, you get to choose a card name, and your opponents can't cast spells with the chosen name, and prevent all damage that be dealt to you and permanents you control by sources with the chosen name. So this is going to basically say 1 card in your opponent's deck you cannot do anything about. They can't do anything with it, essentially, until they answer the Gideon's Intervention. There's some cards like Ugin that's just going to be really difficult to answer. If you don't have a Dovin's Veto at the time the Ugin is cast, then you're done for. Gideon's Intervention is a really good way to stop that and preemptively strike, if you will. It's good, but it's one of the best options we have, though it's not that great. So do what you will with that information. We're running the 3rd Elspeth Conquers Death in the board. This is really good against control. Games where they want to go mid to late game, the ECD comes in. It's just excellent. I'm just not running it in the main because I'm slanting the deck slightly towards aggro and being able to tackle that. And then we have a one-of Heliod's Intervention, and this does what it says on the tin. It destroys artifacts and enchantments, and quite a lot of them as well, so very good. We're hopefully going to find this with our Narset and our Teferis, so yeah, we're only running 1. Maybe you can cut like a Timely Reinforcements for a second one. But we have other stuff in the list. We have Cast Out and what's it called? Cast Out, ECD, and just other things that can answer artifacts, enchantments. So no need to worry. And if you replace the Justice Strikes with a Braids, then you could also cut the Heliod's Intervention altogether. So that's an answer. And if you're really worried about aggro, you can bring it up in the aggro matchup. So that was the list. So overall, we're going to jump into some games in a minute, I promise. This has been a really long intro. Overall, hopefully, we're going to test today whether Control is back, or this variant of Control is back. I'd like you to note that I am not the best Control player in the world. I really like the archetype. It's one of my favourite archetypes to play. I like stalling. I like drawing cards. I just like generally going back and forward, just doing your little thing, dawdling about. So I'm going to give it the best shot I can, but expect tons of mistakes. But I really want to know from this video if Control is going to be a thing. And if you think it's going to be a thing, drop it down in the comments down below and let me know what you think. Because, I don't know, I'm clueless. And hopefully these games will shed some light on the meta and whether Control has a place to fit in there. So let me know what you think. And if you can be asked, please drop the video a like and subscribe. If you can't, just stay by and enjoy the content. Right, guys, I will catch you at the end in the wrap-up. Okay, some Jeskai Control. We are going first, and this hand is okay, a little bit slow. The factor on the play means these Wrath of Gods might be fast enough if we're against a creature list, and Narset will hopefully provide some card advantage. So yeah, we'll keep this. This is one of them hands that's good against the right matchup, so we'll see what we're against. So Blood Crypt turn 1. Makes me feel okay. Let's see what our opponent starts with on turn 2. They probably didn't have a Four.Vs since they more than likely shock. Okay, Mind Stone. We're going to start with a Narset here. Looks like we might be about to miss our land drops, which is not something we want to do. Shark Typhoon can help with that. Okay, so I'm not sure what our opponent's up to, Bolas. Nice. Probably just discarding a board wipe here. So, commit to memory, to fairy, or... I think I like commit. With Gearhulk in play. If we can get the commit off and then... Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that. And then we're just going to cast board wipe here. Hold that Nico Bolas back. So, commit is a really powerful effect, obviously, with Narset in play. Our opponent will not be able to draw any more cards. But they're obviously going to take that off of us. We're going to ditch the commit as well. Some quite good value there. Dark Invitations, very strong. So we shall bolt ourselves as well to make a 3/3 shark. And then we'll hopefully hit our land drop next turn. So we can Torrential Gearhulk. Or we might just Elspeth Conquer's Death actually to get back the Narset. So yeah, I don't know if we needed to bolt ourselves there since we can't block the Nico Bolas anyway. And yep, Clarion's the one to go. So yeah, let's just get rid of this Nico Bolas now, and then we shall attack for free. And our opponent's not really in the colours to have an answer to Elspeth Conquer's Death, so hopefully we'll be getting our Elspeth, our Narset back, and then we can get back on that commit to memory plan. Oh, Bolas! What did that do? It enters with an extra loyalty on it. Oh! Opponent gets a free to fairy, sure, okay. We're gonna tuck this, sure. Yeah, okay, opponent. That's very, very powerful. So I think we're just gonna Elspeth Conquer's Death again and take this Bolas away. Got to take that instead of the Teferi because Teferis can hit non-land cards, but Bolas is guaranteed to hit a goodie off the top of our deck. Only exile 2 lands, but getting a free Teferi. Whoa, yeah, sure thing, opponent.
In exchange for eternal servitude.
Yeah, I think the cast out's going. Yeah.
My schemes are never ending.
Really need to untap with this Torrential Gearhulk in play. All of our opponent's non-creature spells cost 2 more though, so we can be pretty sure that our opponent won't have a counter spell. So we get back our Narset.
My prowess is unmatched by my peers.
And we shall go digging.
Just the trick for this.
Memory's cool. I think we're going to play this out since we're going to probably plan on memorying here. And we're going to wait. We're going to Torrential Gearhulk in our opponent's turn, so they can't draw any cards. Once they activate their Planeswalkers, should be all golden. So they're probably going to shoot Narset here, and in response to shooting Narset, we'll cast Torrential Gearhulk. If our opponent has the counterspell, they have the counterspell, but... looks like they don't have the counterspell. Yep. This is what we wanted to do, and our opponent doesn't get to draw anything. And we're going to get our Narset back next turn with the Elspeth Conquer's Death. Looks like we might be able to pull back after all. This is the reason we put Commit to Memory in the list.
keep up the pace.
So opponent has got to draw a few cards this turn. Obviously, we're back with essentially a full grip. Nice. Bone Crusher Giant was a really good draw off the top.
I know 88 ways to defeat you. Pick one.
So let's see if we can make contact with the Torrential Gearhulk. Because we need to sort of pull back from the position we're in. And I think we will activate. We're going to have to go to discard, which is why I don't necessarily want to activate. So we know they have Bolasses, so take that. And we'll just shoot this Nico Bolas now.
Wipe our bloodline from existence.
So let's play Glacial Fortress and Bone Crusher Giant. We're just going to sort of put the pressure on a little bit. We still get to hold up Absorb. But yeah, I think the Torrential Gearhulk with the commit to memory was a bit devastating. So opponent's tapping down. So this is gonna, well, we get to keep the Torrential Gearhulk, which I think is a good enough reason to just let this go. Lose on our set, but we can get it back later on. Let's smack our opponent. So we have lethal on our opponent next turn. I guess we could shock. No, we'll hold it. We could shock our stomp our opponent and then play the Bone Crusher Giant out, and then we would also have lethal. This way we get to absorb though, and then if our opponent had another relevant spell, we could Torrential Gearhulk, get back the absorb again. Yep. Nice. Back-breaking Torrential Gearhulk plays there. So we're against like Grixis Control, so probably going to want this Gideon's Intervention. It's going to be an all-star. Elspeth Conquers Death is going to be one of the things that sort of breaks this one open. Clarions can probably go. Settle the Wreckage can go. Warrant Warden, we'll see. I guess Gideon would be okay. I don't really like the Justice Strikes. I guess I like them better than Essence Scatter. Oh, I like Essence Scatter better. I think we'll probably want the vetoes. This feels like it's just going to be a hardcore control match, and we need to have our wits about us. Yeah, I think Justice Strike's going to be the better. Yeah, let's run it like that. Okay, so Jeskai Control versus Grixis Control. Let's see who can come out on top. Fortunately, we were able to take game one, and I think we're going to keep this hand. I don't really want to mulligan, especially when our opponent has Four.Vs in the main, most likely, and more hand hate in the board. Looks like they're not starting with any, though. I don't think we can afford to hold up veto this turn. Since it's likely that our opponent will just go Nico Bolas next turn. They did this last time. Yep, there we go, Nico Bolas. Probably ditching the veto, I would imagine. So just holding up Absorb here. And then hopefully next turn we are just raffing the board away. Yeah, opponent can have that. So this is going to be a really good opportunity for our opponent to cast Nico Bolas. So I guess we want to... Maybe we're just going to take a bit more damage first, and we're going to just get this Gideon's Intervention down. What Nico Bolas is the... Wait, I guess this one will flip, won't it? So I guess this is a Chandra turn then. Yeah, I was wondering whether we want to name this on the 7 mana Nico Bolas, but if we do that, they just flip this Nico Bolas. Oh, Plaguecraft is interesting tech. Opponent's going to exile our Chandra and Dovin's Veto. So I'd really like to Shark Typhoon here, but I think we just have to pass the turn. I would Shark Typhoon for a land, but okay, cannot be countered. Maybe our opponent did that just so they could hit a land drop. We would really like to hit our land drops, and there we go. So probably gonna hold back and combine this Bone Crusher Giant with the Shark to take down this Amass token. Yeah, I think that's fine. I don't think we can afford to fight over a Croxer. Let's discard the Wrath. Opponent's drawing. Our opponent's got some interesting tech. So I guess this gains them life, stalls the game. Interesting that they brought it in this matchup. Or maybe it's already in. Should have really let blocks happen before we cast the Bone Crusher Giant there. So probably just passing the turn here. Really want to get this Gideon's Intervention down, but I don't really want to let the Absorb fall for a second. So Bone Crusher Giant should block really well here. And we get to hold Absorb up, and then next turn we could potentially go Narset. If we draw land, I'll probably get this Gideon's Intervention down on 7 mana Bolas. Yeah, we'll block. So our opponent just want to draw a card. I have not seen this ever played in Constructed. It's the first time seeing it in Historic. Maybe we are countering this. Since it's likely we can find an Absorb or Dovin's Veto off of the Narset. Okay, so our opponent has the counterspell. Kind of happy to get that out of their hands now. So probably going to discard an ECD now. Yeah. So hopefully we can find something. Justice Strike's quite good. I'd rather have the cast out, but we can't cast it this turn. So we're just going to go with the Justice Strike. And then we'll just play out our land, smack our opponent, and go from there. If our opponent plays a big old threat, we have the ECD to stop that. Ooh. Okay, so gonna try and take that away. Don't really want our opponent gaining that much card advantage. So ECD might be a little bit of a waste here, since I don't think we're going to get anything off the final law, the law counter. But we're doing a good job of just smacking our opponent down. Opponent's going to scoop it up there. So Jeskai triumphing over beating Grixis Control. But our opponent had some questionable cards in their list. But still, we came out on top. Okay, a no land hand is straight away mulligan. A 2-land hand is going to have to be a keep. We are running 27 lands, so I'm surprised that we're having this many issues. What do we want to cut? Probably the Wrath. Since we're probably going to cycle this cast out, just to try and hit our land drops. See what our opponent's got. What are they on? Maybe a similar list to what we've just seen. So let's just enter this tapped. So we're going to cycle cast out here in the hopes of finding a land drop. Maybe this... I think it's right to put the Wrath on the bottom, but these might not be that great this game. Midnight Clock. Okay, at least we hit a land. So eventually our opponent's going to get to refill their hand. And they want to scry both them to the top. So hopefully our opponent taps down here, we get to counter something and then go straight into Chandra. Nope. I'm just going to make a 1-1. I try always to cycle Shark Typhoon. I think most of the time it's the correct play to make. Just so you get some free value. 1-1, 2-2, or maybe even a 3-3 Shark. Obviously, the longer you wait on the Shark Typhoon, the more pressure you're going to put your opponent under, because we're not putting them under that much pressure at the moment. Opponent's just going to draw. So opponent might have a counter spell, which is why they just did nothing with their turn, and they chose to sacrifice that in the end step. Or opponent just wanted to spend their turn sacrificing the Wishing Well. Oh, what is this? Creatures and Planeswalker spell you cast have affinity for artifacts, which means they cost 1 less for each artifact you control, currently 2. Tezzeret deals +2 X damage to each opponent where X is the number of artifacts you control. You gain X life. Return target artifact from your graveyard to your hand. Exile top 10 cards, but all artifact cards among them. Okay, so our opponent's in an Artifacts Matters list. I don't know how scared of this Tezzeret I should be, but I'm going to pretend I should be super scared and just counter that off the bat. So let's just get the Chandra down. We could plus with mana here and cycle the Triome, which might honestly be better. Or we could just plus and deal 2 damage to our opponent. I think we're just going to plus and deal 2 damage. Oh, there's a land anyway. Holding the Triome gives us a guaranteed land next turn. This is why I like Warrant Warden as well. Oh, Bolas's Citadel. Oh. Oh, I like the synergy. Our opponent gets to gain life from the interplanar beacons because you're technically casting them. Oh, and Aetherflux Reservoir. So Gideon's intervention is going to hopefully shut down this reservoir. So can our opponent combo off enough? Probably, since they have 2 Mind Stones. I can only imagine that this is the end for us. So I can assume that's a land. Strange how opponent didn't go for the Mind Stone play, where they sacrificed them instead. But I mean, I don't think it matters. I think our opponent's got this. So what is our play? We have 7 mana available to us. We smack one of them, I guess. Play to Fairy. Tuck the Bolas's Citadel. But then our opponent draws for turn, activate Zugin, and then they're almost back. They can draw and get the Citadel back again. We need like a cast out or something. Or ECD.
Today's my lucky day.
ECD works. That was one of our few answers. So what are we hitting? The Reservoir here? Or the Bolas's Citadel? I guess the Reservoir is the actual win con, and I can't imagine our opponent has too many Reservoirs. But Bolas's Citadel is just going to be insane card advantage for our opponent. Hit the Reservoir. I don't think this is correct. But our opponent might be able to just combo enough spells together to kill us, especially with the Interplanar Beacon. And I've seen some of these lists only running a single Aetherflux Reservoir. So I wonder if our opponent is just hedging their bets on that. And if they are, we can beat the board state that's currently here. I've kept the shark back, so this way if our opponent doesn't kill our shark, we can save Chandra. Wow. Yeah, opponent's just gonna go off here. This is insanity. Opponent's got to be able to get it. They're gonna go get Aetherflux Reservoir now. Can't, or you can do that and grab it from the sideboard. Currently 17. Ooh. I guess this is essentially free for our opponent to do that. Don't know if it was necessary. Opponent's just spinning the wheels. I think this might be overkill. I guess it's gaining our opponent like 2 life each time and putting a 4/4 into play. But we're either going to have an answer to our opponent's board or we're not. At least our opponent's playing quickly. I guess they got the Ugin to finish us off, but fall into 1. Oh, I don't know what our odds are of beating this, but we'll give it our best shot. That was quite the demonstration. Okay, so I guess Heliod's Intervention is going to be our best friend in here. Grafdigger's Cage is going to be quite good, I would imagine. All of them tokens, Authority's got to be good. I'm going to cut the Justice Strikes. Settle the Wreckage can go. Warrant Warden can go. Essence Scatter. They have a load of servos, so maybe this will be good. Maybe we want to board in the ECD and a Dovin's Veto. Maybe we want to trim. Maybe we want to take out the like. They had some 4 power creatures. Maybe take out the Rafts and add in the Vetoes. And we'll add in. I guess we're either going to lose. The Authority is going to buy us like a little bit of time, but not much. So I guess we'll keep keeping a Raft for the creatures. Okay, Jeskai Control going against Affinity Artifacts. And yeah, I don't like our odds that much. I'm going to cycle this cast out on 1. I like having a Veto in hand. Hopefully it can do something for us. Just gotta keep hoping to hit our land drops. Gonna try and close the game quickly with Shark Typhoon and Torrential Gearhulk, I think. That's gonna be the play. So, might be worth paying the free life for it, but we'll see. Next turn, I plan on playing Gideon's Intervention, naming like Bolas's Citadel or something. Midnight Clock. I don't think Midnight Clock's worth countering. I think we got to save the counter spells for our opponents like key threats. I guess we want to name like Aetherflux Reservoir. I guess Aetherflux is just like a side piece for our opponent's deck. I'm more scared of maybe I'm scared of like 3, 6, 7. So opponent can't cast Ugin. What we name like Bolas's Citadel? Probably. It's difficult when we can't look at our opponent's hand. When he gets to Fort sees us, at least we get to keep one of our counter spells. Maybe they take the ECD here. Yep. Opponent has so much mana available to them. They know what they're playing around now, though. Double counter spell. Just gonna maybe put the pressure on a bit. That was probably the idea, not to play Bolas's Citadel since we had Grafdigger's Cages. Grafdigger's Cage noticeably does stop Torrential Gearhulk. But yeah, maybe we should have named something else with Gideon's Intervention. I'm thinking 8 mana Bolas or Aetherflux Reservoir. Maybe Tezzeret as well. I guess we've just super shut down. Yeah, I think we're gonna try and stop that. So we can cast a Torrential Gearhulk now. We can't get something back from the graveyard, but we can cast it, which I think we are going to do. An opponent knows this could be coming as well.
My grief fuels my mission.
Yep, they can have this. I don't know if our opponent knows that Grafdigger's Cage shuts down Torrential Gearhulk. So that's the last card for our opponent. So we're going to let that go. Really need to hold this absorb for something super relevant. Stop a key threat for our opponent. Opponent's letting it resolve, but we can't cast this anyway. But we're going to try and kill this Khan here. I guess we could kill both. I don't think I'm too worried about the Saheeli. If they get to make a 1-1, that's fine. A little bit worried about this Midnight Clock going off eventually. Second Midnight Clock. Yeah, I think we're about to get buried in card advantage. I think we just sort of have to go for our opponent's life total here. I guess Narset does it. Let's see if our opponent wants to defend Saheeli here. Because Narset should shut down the Midnight Clocks. Unfortunately, we can't cast Absorb as well. But I really don't want these Midnight Clocks to go off. Hopefully that's the last of our opponent's card draw. Like a veto here would be really nice. I don't think we're casting this. I think we're casting this, I mean. To try and close the game quicker. But if our opponent can't answer this Narset, I'm feeling good about our position. Since the Midnight Clock's not going to work in our opponent's favour. I wonder what they take here, because if they don't take the ECD, then we can get the Narset back. I guess they can actually kill Narset with Saheeli here. Then he made it a 1-1. I guess it has to make a copy of a creature, doesn't it? So they're gonna knock Narset down to 1. Which is not dead. Is that right? Yeah. Knock it down to 1, but that's not dead, and I think your Midnight Clocks are gonna go off. Yes, opponent. Your Midnight Clocks are going to go off, and we're going to hold up Absorb here. So, Narset's doomed. But I guess we force our opponent to attack into it. Since attacking doesn't really do much here. But Midnight Clock's not going to draw our opponent any cards here. I fear the opponent might time out if they're not quick. It might be worth them sacrificing the Midnight Clock now. So at least they'll get to... Well, they won't get to draw a card now, but they'll still get to draw 1 next turn. I guess in that state it doesn't matter. Looks like our opponent timed out, though. Now we're going to see if they time out again. So it looks like our opponent might be about to skip their go. Nope. So we get to eat one of these tokens. But we lose our Narset. So happy we did leave up the Absorb now. And cast out seems like a really good answer to the Midnight Clock. Let's attack. So we need to hope our opponent bricks 1 combat. Opponent's going to chump save 5 life. But if our opponent does not find an answer to our 2/4/4 Angels, then we shall have lethal in 2 turns. So they're going to put counters on this, but we're going to try and answer this Midnight Clock with this cast out. And then I think we're in a good position. Our opponent's deck is sweet though. Game 1 was pretty mental. Just gonna draw a few extra cards here. So, might be worth giving lifelink here. I guess we could deal 3 damage and give lifelink. And then we attack for 13. And we still get to cast out. So I'm just going to go straight for our opponent here. Not really worry about the Saheeli. So our opponent can put some extra counters on this midnight clock. It goes up to 9. So we're going to exile this now. And hopefully this is going to pull us across the finish line with 3 lethal threats. God, I hope this is enough. Bolas Citadel was locked down. Opponent gets 1 more draw step. Whew. Okay, so going into game 3, we need to be careful of that Gideon's intervention. We don't really want to name Bolas' Citadel with a free Grafdigger's Cage. Was there anything we didn't like in that match? Maybe not sure about the Clarions. Maybe we want like a Gideon instead. See, bringing a Gideon. I think we want to close the game as quick as possible. I think that's going to be a key part of this match. We want to kill our opponent as quickly as possible, since I don't know if we can hold our opponent off all day. This hand is okay. Nothing exciting, but definitely keepable. Our opponent's mulligan twice, I think, so far. Yeah, opponent's gone to 5. I think our opponent's scried to the top almost every time this game so far. I think we're going to just lay this tapped at the moment. Wasn't sure whether to cast out on turn 1. I'm going to play his Triumph out, so we definitely have double blue. It'd be awful to top deck and absorb and not be able to play that. I think we're okay to let this go at the moment. This does nothing in the immediate future. We'll find an answer to it eventually. We have cast out. Yeah, I think we'll cycle the Triome now. We'll either veto something or cycle the Triome. I just wanted to ensure we'd have double blue since we have double white already. Shark Typhoon is quite nice. We might save Shark Typhoon to cast it. So we're probably going to cast out this if our opponent does nothing in their turn again. Opponent might have a negate. Nope, opponent's just going to concede to the first spell we cast. Fair enough, bringing down Tezzeret artifacts and moving us into gold. Very, very slowly climbing the tiers. We've taken a while out of constructed, but let's see how we get on the next one. Unfortunately, another 1-lander. Gonna have to ship this back, and another 1-lander, and another 1-lander. And I guess we'll keep this. Just put back, I guess. Wow, that felt that felt horrid. Yeah, free one landers. Not much we can do about that. We're gonna essentially we're basically out of the game, but we'll play our best as we always do. Our opponent might get cocky since we fell to 1. Hopefully our opponent commits a little bit more to the board. Nope. I wonder if we want to Clarion here. I think we do. We don't want to take too much damage, and we could try and save it to get more value out of the Clarion, but because we have the Settle the Wreckage, I think it's fine. We have 3 cards in hand. Our opponent's not going to... Or I hope that our opponent's going to be like, yeah, they got nothing. This is going to be easy. And it looks like we're against mono red as well. Oh, yeah. Chandra might be too strong here. Like Steamkin. Bone Crusher Giant. So we're going to cycle this Triome since we need to find something to do. An ECD would be really nice. We see a hasty Glorybringer here. Nope. Okay. So, Settle the Wreckage is a thing. Probably just going to have to Shark Typhoon for free and take out this Bone Crusher Giant. Yeah, opponent's going to shock us. Our opponent's left with 1 card in hand, but they do have the card advantage of Chandra. I think we even have to take this. So opponent should not cast this now. Okay, it's up to them obviously, but if they don't cast it, Chandra deals 2 damage to them anyway. I want to kill this, but if we kill this, we've just got nothing to answer the Chandra. Like we have to take 4 here. If this Chandra ultimates next turn, this over. And if their opponent had an answer to this Shark, I assume they would have lightning striked our face already. Unless they think we're holding them an absorb up. So that would have been an answer to the Chandra.
Alright, that's it.
So let's shock this again. So we are basically dead. So our opponent... Yeah, if our opponent has a land, we're dead.
Today's my lucky day.
Yep. So I assume our opponent drew that for turn. I'm not sure why they added mana to the mana pool, but... Mulligan to 4, and yeah, we got eaten. So let's go to sideboarding and see if there's something we might be able to do about that. What do we not want in this matchup? What do we not want? I think we want our board wipes. We want our essence. Maybe we don't want essence scatters. We'll have a look. ECDs. We saw Chandras. Maybe settle the wreckages. Maybe we have enough board wipes as it is. Shark Typhoons are probably going to be quite slow, but they're going to be a really good way of closing the game really quickly. I think we're going to want all of our removal. Yeah, I think Shark Typhoons will stay. Maybe we cut to fairies. Or Narsets. Let's cut Narsets. I think I'd rather have Teferi since he's a solid... if we stick a Teferi and we just start ticking him up, we're going to be golden. Okay, so this is more of an acceptable hand. We shall keep this. At least we didn't have to mulligan to 4 this time. So we have a chance. So we're going to Bone Crusher Giant now, since our opponent could sacrifice the Bone Mat Courier to fizzle the Bone Crusher Giant. Though it would be a pretty stupid play, since our opponent would have to discard their entire hand. I'm not going to put it past them. But our opponent decided to scoop it up there, so I don't know what the problem was there. Maybe they kept a one lander in top deck second land. But it seems a little bit silly. Maybe mono red can function without a land or two for a few turns. I think we're going to keep this in the hope of top decking a land. So this Bowmut Courier is going to go to town on us. So I don't think we're going to shock ourselves just to cycle this cast out. But I think it's quite likely we are going to cycle this. Opponent's instant speeding, doing the stomp. Maybe that's to play around Dovin's veto. Yeah, we shall play this out now. So we don't have to bolt ourselves. And then next turn we're going to have Absorb. And if we find any land, we'll have Wrath of God. But in the meantime, we're going to take a little bit of damage. Opponent's getting quite a few cards. So we're going to take 5 here and go to 10. And then next turn we might have to shock. Hopefully our opponent goes for like a Chandra here. I think we just want to counter that just to get to gain 3 life, mitigate some damage. This definitely feels like a matchup where our opponent's going to get card advantage over us by just killing us before we can use our cards. So does our opponent want the 4 random cards or the 4 in their hand? And it looks like they want the ones in their hand. Another Bowmut Courier. And a Bone Crusher Giant. So just going to ship it back here. Probably going to counter something our opponent does. If they don't do anything, then we're going to Heliod's Intervention this Bowmut Courier. So yeah, we're just going to Wrath now. So our position's not great, but it's not awful. These Wrath of Gods are really helping us stay in the game. Robber. Oh, we're falling to a low life total. So what, we can gain twice X life. So we can do 2, so 4 life we can gain. Is that really any good? I feel like we're kind of dead here, aren't we? If we pass the turn, our opponent just goes to combat, we cast Heliod's Intervention, they kill us in response. I guess we can kill this and hope our opponent doesn't have a hasty threat or a burn spell. But unlikely. Our opponent's whole list is probably hasty threats. Yep. Good game, opponent. Maybe taking game 1 was quite essential, or putting up more of a fight was essential. Okay, on the draw with Jeskai Control. We don't have double blue, but I'm going to hope we're going to find that. We have quite a few draws to do so. Temple of Enlightenment, so what? Azorius Control, Jeskai, Esper, something along them lines. If that is the case, this hand is not great. Yeah, like Azorius. Yep, so our opponent like is signaling Absorb, whether they have it or not. We shall also signal as such. Gonna cycle this Triome now. Though it's true we just want to hit land drops, we do actually want to... We can't bluff counter spells all day. We'll need to have one at some point. Yeah, let's play Emery's Call Out. We're just going to go for a repeat of last turn. We'll cycle this land if needs be. Next turn we could always tap down for Warden if we wanted to. So it looks like our opponent's like dedicated Azorius. There's many different types of control at the moment. Different versions of it. I really wanted to play new Chandra, which is why I'm playing at Jeskai. Obviously Azorius is just going to be a little bit more consistent. So just going to keep shipping it back, I think. It's almost certain that our opponent has counter spells at the ready. So Warden, Warrant Warden's going to come in helpful. So we're going to Warrant this away and then hopefully Torrential Gearhulk to cast the Warden side of it. So we just get a free Sphinx. So we're going to try and Gearhulk here, and if our opponent counters it, then maybe the path will be clear for Narset. And we'll take the 2 from this Sphinx, from this Shark for 1 turn. I mean, our opponent could have a Sensor here as well. But we'll see. Do you have a Sensor or Absorb, opponent? No, Syncopate. I think I saw Syncopate in the graveyard, actually. No, I didn't. So, let's go Narset. It's going to Glimmer. Glimmer, not something I've seen a lot of. These sort of card draw spells I just tend not to see a lot of. So we'll activate Narset once. They're going to be able to Shark Typhoon and use their Shark to hit Narset down to 1, which I think we'll let happen. Maybe we don't let it happen. Yeah, I can see not letting it happen, actually. I'd rather an extra activation of our Narset if we can have one. Or force our opponent to have some form of answer. It looks like they had Sealaways as well. So Sealaway's not going to be great against Shark Typhoon. Against the Shark token. Since we're blocking. Nice. Gideon's probably just gonna get an emblem here.
The side of justice will never lose.
Hone your prowess.
So Gideon might be able to take down our Narset here. This way we're still representing a counter spell, but our opponent's left up exactly Absorb. So we shall see. Oh, Pact of Negation. So opponent's going to have to pay some mana. Oh, they can't lose the game, of course, because of Gideon. Well, it's an interesting interaction. So, Narset down. Could have taken Settle the Wreckage off of Narset for this reason, to try and answer the Gideon.
My mind needs a rest.
This is probably going to be where we go downhill. Fortunately, our sideboard is equipped to deal with control. Since our main deck, we have quite a few nombos against it. I wonder if we activate Narset. Maybe we do. Do it for who our opponent draws. We don't want our opponent to be able to kill Narset here. If at all possible. So we're doing this in our opponent's upkeep, so they use the mana in their turn rather than in our turn, but they haven't got any new information. So Syncope, I can't remember how much mana they had in their turn, whether it was worth... if they didn't have Syncopate mana available in our turn. We lose our Narset now. It's probably going to signal the end.
Reached my limit.
No time for a break.
So we drew a Teferi of our own. Unfortunately, Gideon's just gonna smack this down. I can only imagine that our opponent has board wipes at this point. Yep, Pact of Negation. I think we're going to scoop it up there and go to next game. Yeah, our opponent managed to resolve a Teferi before us. That's how that works. Let's go Gideon. Guess we'd rather have the Settles. Our opponent might have Cast Outs, so Heliod's Intervention might be quite good. And there's something else we really want, so I guess we're probably just bringing in like Wrath in case they have a Dream Trawler or Torrential Gearhulks of their own. There's a few cards we don't want to have to play, but we don't unfortunately have any sideboard options for them. So we'll do the best we can. Yep, this hand's really good. So we've played a little bit with Chandra so far. I really want to. She's one of the. Well, she is the reason that I'm playing Jeskai instead of just Azorius. I was also debating between Grixis as well, but I think ECD and Teferi are worth playing Jeskai for. So we're going to hope we can resolve this Chandra at some point. And that seems to be our game plan. So opponent's representing V2. So our opponent's left that Mystical Dispute, but that's not going to work on Chandra. So hopefully our opponent doesn't have an answer here. Sensor. Nice. So opponent's sort of in a position now where they have to answer the Chandra. And if they do, they might be tapping down so we can ECD something. We can always get the Chandra back later on as long as they don't ECD our Chandra. Gearhulk is nice. Should have probably played land before this in case we get a 5-drop off the top. Watch our top deck to vary.
You're going down.
We're not going to cast a Wrath. So next turn, if our opponent does nothing to the Chandra now, next turn we have Torrential Gearhulk available. And Chandra's like chipping away at our opponent's life total. It's going to make it quite easy for Torrential to come in and finish it off. Oh, Gideon, nice.
Virtue will always triumph. Your defeat is inevitable.
So Chandra's probably just going to tick up here. Just see what we get. Bone Crusher Giant. Yeah, I think we're going to cast the Bone Crusher Giant. So we just kill Shark and then cast it. Our opponent gets to hit. Maybe we hold up. Let's hold up cast out actually. I'd rather pressure our opponent with answering this Chandra at some point. If our opponent wants to veto this, I think that's fine. Since the Gideon's still not killing the Chandra. Let's syncopate it.
You will regret this.
So let's tick up. See what goodies we find. Just a land. So I think we're just going to attempt to block the Torrential Gearhulk now. The alternative, I guess we could have ticked up Chandra to make mana. We could have ECD'd and Bone Crusher Gianted. Maybe we just let the Chandra go.
Not if I can help it.
I think I like attempting to save it if we can. Just a 5-6 flash, because the likelihood is it just gets absorbed here either way. And then we can hopefully swoop in with the ECD next turn. Yep. Unfortunately, it exiles it though.
I don't need this.
Oh, could have played our land to play around that. That feels really bad. We still get to Bone Crusher Giant here, but I would have much rather have had that. Foolish me for not playing a land. We get to smack down this Gideon next turn, though. Or they can tick up to stop the Bone Crusher Giant. And then we've got to ride this Teferi out, hopefully.
Not if I can help it.
Main phase Glimmer. Opponents probably feels like they've missed maybe one too many land drops. I think Shark Typhoon for 6 here is fine. Try and answer this Gideon.
Now it's my turn.
Or this Teferi.
If you show remorse, I'll show respect. Keep up the pace.
So our opponent has something. Possibly a counterspell. Playing around the Mystical Dispute this time. Playing around Syncopate for 3. Not playing around Pact of Negation.
You've got nerve.
Interesting. Maybe we go for the Gideon.
Fight on without me.
Our opponent is digging for some bits. How many? We played through 1 Teferi, a Search Cantor. Not much. They still have a lot left in here. And 2 on the top. That does not leave me with a lot of hope.
Let's do this.
Shark Typhoon. So any non-creature spell and our opponent can save the Gideon. Nope. Gideon down.
Next time I'll be ready.
So we're hoping for something that isn't a land. Relevant spell. So yeah. Nice to know our opponent kept in their Seal Aways. Maybe they don't have enough. Like us in the board that they want to bring in. Or they actually kept it in for that reason. For a reason that we have like little creatures. They could have another Seal Away here. But we won't know if we don't attack. Opponent's just going to chump. Settle the Wreckage, not one of our better cards in this matchup. Something we would have ideally taken out had we have had enough sideboard cards. But we're in a really bad situation now. Our opponent finds one answer to the Shark. It could be a Teferi, any number of things, another Seal Away. We are pretty done. Another Shark Typhoon if they find. Oh, yeah. That's gonna put the nail in the coffin. So we'll cycle to see what we find, but I'm not liking our situation. Yep, land. So I think we're hitting garbage time now. Opponent has 24 cards in library. Is there any chance we deck them? Wow. "17 cards left. So our opponent definitely has counter spells now, don't they? Yep, gonna scoop it up there. Maybe it's the opponent's consistency. The fact they're in 2 colours makes them just better equipped for these matchups. Not sure, but they managed to come out on top. Okay, we are going on the draw. This hand looks reasonable enough. It depends what we're against. Let's see. Servant of the Conduit. So, energy. Maybe like Pummeler. Rogue Refiner. So we get to 2 for 1 our opponent here. I say 2 for 1 our opponent. They get to draw off the Rogue Refiner, so not really, but we get some form of value. Oh boy. Not gonna waste any time messing around with that. That combo is degenerate. Let's okay, the opponent has a second one, so it did not matter.
Hey, over here. This'll be easy.
So we have to decline. Okay, we're gonna spin the wheel. Almost spin the wheel twice. Yep, Ulamog.
I am out of here.
And this is Aetherworks Marvel. Probably gonna scoop it up there. This might be an argument for playing a Braid, but you never know. So Gideon's Intervention's probably going to come in. I think, does Grafdigger's Cage work? I think Grafdigger's Cage works. Because you cast it from the graveyard. You look at the top 6, you may cast a card. We'll try it. I don't know if it's going to work. I think it is. I think we want our settles. Probably don't want Bone Crusher Giants. Maybe we... Yeah, maybe not the Justice Strikes. Maybe we don't want these, actually. We'll go like that. So, yeah, it could be an argument for keeping a Braids. I've decided to play Justice Strike instead of a Braids because I just really want to be focused on that creature matchup. I was expecting a lot more aggro. And Justice Strike is just a much more efficient removal spell than a Braid. But obviously a Braid has the flexibility of hitting artifacts. So we'll see how we get on this game. I don't know what our odds of winning this game is. It feels really low. Just gonna try and stop our opponent from playing things if possible. So I think we're just going to prioritize killing this Servant of the Conduit so our opponent can't ramp. I'd rather just get my value off the Chandra while I can. If our opponent plays Aetherworks Marble, then we can ECD it. It's going to go for the Rogue Refiner. I think we just let Chandra go at the moment.
Yup, you're going down.
So we lose our Chandra here, but we get to hold up Veto or ECD this and get the Chandra back later on. But hopefully the Gideon's Intervention is enough. When our opponent naturally gets to Ulamog, that's when we're going to be a bit in trouble. Since they can just take out the Gideon's Intervention. Okay. So shields are up at the moment. Gonna hopefully get some value off the top with Chandra. Nope, land. We'll cast Grafdigger's Cage. Since I presume if our opponent casts a new Ulamog, they'll be targeting Chandra and Gideon's Intervention. Yep, gotta have an answer for that. So gotta hope our opponent bricks one turn on the Chandra, and then it can get to its ultimate. It's the land. So we're gonna try and force our opponent to have two answers this turn for the Angels and the Chandra. And our opponent just, yep, gonna have it all. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. Fortunately, we top decked another one, but now Aetherworks Marble comes down and wrecks us. Nope, just a Genesis Ultimatum. That will find it as well. Let's have a look. So our opponent shoots us for free. Oh, yeah, they just mop up their tokens.
Reality is unwritten.
Oh. I'm saving the Essence Scatter for an Ulamog. But I think it feels a bit hopeless at this point. Yeah, we're gonna scoop it up that. Okay, more Jeskai Control, and we are on the play. Alex hand, we have 3 lands, and yeah, we have some interaction. This hand's going to be much better against the creature matchup, but we shall see. So, a Two.Vs Ether, so some sort of energy list. Simic. Could see a Servant of the Conduit here. Nope. So now we have Absorber. We need to work out what our opponent's doing because there's a few different energy decks. We have Aetherworks Marvel, Pummeler. This looks like a Marvel's list. I think we're just going to cycle here for 1. While we have the opportunity, we will. So probably going to cycle the Triome if our opponent doesn't make us spend our mana. This makes me think it's Aetherworks Marvel. I'm still not sure if this deck is broken or not. I guess we'll see in the next BNR if Wizards of the Coast think so. I mean, you can fight it. It's just quite difficult to do so. Well, I guess our deck's running like almost entirely interaction, so if Control can't beat it, then I don't know. I'm gonna Essence Scatter this away. So I don't think we're that great against this list game 1. We can't counter this. But we get better in games 2 and 3. We have quite a few sideboard pieces of hate for this. Could have maybe held this, but we have the second Wrath. Opponent's been holding that sensor up for a little bit. This is the spell we will be countering. Gonna rapidly run out of gas here though. We don't have anything to get back with ECD, so it's not like it's worth just casting it to get the lore counters going. See, our opponent's primed to, yeah, okay. They're primed to just slam a marble soon and take over. I mean, I assume that's what they're doing with their energy. They had like Weaver's Puzzle Knots. I guess we have some protection now. Really like to find a Narset with this, or a Torrential Gearhulk. We're gonna Elspeth Conquers Death this instead of Commit to Memorying, so when we shuffle our libraries back, they won't have this Ulamog in their library to shuffle back. So it's sort of just back and forward at the moment. Not really a lot happening. Our opponent does have 24 energy though, or 23 energy even. Yeah. We're going to get to Settle the Wreckage this. I think we're just going to kill the Rogue Refiner. We could tick up and Chandra would fall to 2, but then we'd have to answer the Rogue Refiner. I'll just kill it. We get to hold up Commit to Memory, and using Memory while you have a Planeswalker in play is obviously really good, since you start with more advantage than your opponent. But I don't think we can realistically Memory without a Narset, since our opponent's going to essentially draw all their combo pieces again. So the plan is to settle this Uro. Oof. Yep. Our opponent has so much energy now. I think there comes a point where the energy is just obsolete now. They just have as much energy as they need. Let's see if our opponent will play around Settle the Wreckage. Oh, they're going to play around it. Sure, okay. Maybe we could have Wrath to make our opponent, or Clarion actually. Yep, opponent's got it. Yes.
It's over when I say it's over.
Like, need another ECD. So we get to Torrential. Our opponent's going to eat 20 cards off the top of our library into exile. But we get to eat the Torrential Gearhulk. The Ulamog even. I guess we could put Ulamog third from the top of our opponent's library and then Memory it. Maybe that's enough. I don't know what the correct play is. I think that might be better. Let's wait for our opponent to go to combat. I don't think we can let our opponent exile 20 cards off the top. Yep. I don't know how many Ulamogs our opponent has. Really want to find Narset here. Nope. So our opponent's going to find Ulamog again. We can Torrential Gearhulk and make him shuffle it away now. I mean, I guess that's the play, but without Narset, this feels really bad. Our opponent's like gaining 1 card out of the interaction. We get to gain 4 cards, but they get to use theirs first. Yep, Harness Lightning is 2 mana, kill any creature. Yeah, may as well put that in the library. I guess, I don't know, do they want to draw this? Nice. I mean, I guess we could play a Narset out. It stops our opponent drawing off the Euro.
If you wish to surrender now, keep an open mind.
Here comes the Marvel. And here comes Ugin. Yep, I think we're gonna scoop it up there. That feels really difficult to beat. Well, that was just game 1 as well for people who are still there. We're gonna go to sideboarding and do what we can, but it doesn't feel good. It does not feel good. Let's take out the Wrath of Gods, the Clarions. Our opponent does have a few creatures we want to mop up, but maybe we want to keep in the Clarions. They have like random rogue refiners and stuff. Warren Warden can go. Justice Strikes can go. We want the Gideon's Intervention as well. Can't Clarion. Yep, not gonna lie, this matchup feels really difficult to win. So 2-lander, kind of got a mulligan this. This hand we're going to keep because it's lands and spells, and I don't want to go to 5, but this is not a hand that is going to be this deck. Even if we had a Veto and an Absorb and an Narset, I still don't know what our odds of winning are. We'll give it our best shot though. Let's start with, I guess, Sacred Foundry is part of the one. Right, so let's go. We have the Essence Scatter to tackle like a Rogue Refiner that comes down early. Or maybe, I don't think we're going to counter an Uro. Nope, we do not want more Essence Scatters. Definitely one of our weaker cards, but again, boarding is difficult. Because the deck is tailored so much towards aggro in the main. And just general creature matchups. We're going to have to hold on to that. We have sometimes when we board sideboard slots that we would rather take out, but this is, we have nothing in the board that we'd rather bring in. So it's like the best of the worst. So Veto gives us some protection. I don't think we can afford to counter that. We have Essence Scatters for a reason. They still come up from time to time as being relevant. So we're going to keep going. We're not going to play out this Emery's Call because we have like nothing happening. So we need to find some form of action eventually. Ooh, nice. Hopefully our opponent doesn't have the negate. Our opponent chose... Oh, they didn't have the mana. Hopefully they don't have a negate. If they do, we might have to use the veto on it. Could have saved the Heliod's intervention maybe for it instead. But our opponent would have cast Uro there and got the extra energy required. Guess we could have done it. No, we couldn't have done it in response. We only had 2 mana available. Ooh, yes. Opponent brought their A game for counter spells. Fortunately, we're top decking Settle the Wreckages like a boss. We're going to try and stop this since our opponent can't recast it from their graveyard now. And we don't currently have a removal spell in hand. Oh, opponent has a sensor. Problem is we have to do something because this Zero is going to kill us, but we're leaving ourselves open now to be Ugined. And there we go. We're gonna scoop it up there. Howdy guys, cheers for sticking around till the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay. So we set out to answer a question. Essentially that's what I proposed to you at the beginning of the video. Does Control have a place in this meta? Can it work? Because I feel like it hasn't worked for a while. And the answer to that question that I would say, in my humble opinion, is no. Control is still not where it needs to be. It doesn't have the tools to tackle the ever-growing amount of threats in the format. Maybe the configuration of this list is wrong. Maybe I am not a good enough pilot to pilot this list. Or maybe Control isn't a thing. Maybe it's just something that maybe you need to play like Azorius, for example. Maybe I'm just going above and beyond trying to fit Chandra Torch of Defiance in, and you just need to be Azorius, or you actually need to be Grixis for Four.Vs and Fatal Push. Not too sure what the correct configuration is. I can tell you one thing though, I will be trying other configurations on the channel, so if you are interested in seeing other variations of this Control list, that being that Azorius, Grixis, and the other one, Esper. That's it. Yeah, I say the other one, Esper. Yeah. If you guys are interested, remember to stick around on the channel for that. But essentially, the answer to me is this version of this list is not viable. There's too many things happening in the format. You can't stop everything that's happening, and you can't always have the answer to every threat that's happening at all times. It feels like every turn your opponent takes, they are doing something influential or powerful, and even if they're not doing something influential or powerful, you have to hold up your counter spells, because it takes one top deck, and you've seen in some of them games, like one top deck, game over. You held up your absorb all game, but you had to tap down to do your Emery's Call just so you can have a board state. Your opponent top decks Ugin, it's GG. Like, that's just the way this works. So I love Control, but I don't think this is a thing. I'm hopefully maybe going to build a list where maybe Jeskai like mid-range instead, where Teferi and ECD is like the top of our curve. We could put some Torrential Gearhulks in there as well, but we play like more Glory Bringers instead. Maybe it's like a big red sort of list, or we could play like Is It instead. But I really want to fit Torrential Gearhulk and Chandra into this meta somewhere, so hopefully we can find a place for that. But if not, maybe they're just maybe they're lost. But Chandra sees tons of play in Modern, so there's got to be a way to make her work. If you guys have figured out a way to make Chandra or Torrential Gearhulk work, can you leave it down in the comments down below? Because I would love to give it a try, and maybe play a few videos around that. Comment your deck list down below, and I will give it a shot if I like the look of it. But yeah, guys, cheers for sticking around to the end of the video. It really does mean a lot, and thank you so much to everyone who liked and subscribed. If you didn't, don't worry about it. Like, maybe I'll get you on the next video. But yeah, stay safe, guys.